Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. And today I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about omega-3 supplementation, because it's something that got brought up in yesterday's video and it's something I don't think a lot of people really understand. So I'm going to just cover the basics of that. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. And I've got Bagpuss with me today because Bagpuss just wanted to express his concerns. He's a little unhappy with me as of the last week because first I talked about bringing a dog into his house, and two, I quit eating steak. So Bagpuss is not happy with me right now. But that is what it is. So we'll set him to the side. Alright, I raised the point yesterday that I was looking for a non-fish oil related EPA and DHA supplement, and a lot of people listed plant sources for suggestions to me which are ALA based, which suggests to me that a lot of people don't understand the difference here. Long story short, the body can convert ALA to EPA and DHA at a very, very low rate. There's a lot of lifestyle factors involved, including things like how much N6 fats you take in, whether you're male or female, how active you are, your insulin sensitivity. There's a lot of factors, but for a male, you're assuming on average maybe 10 or 11% of it's going to get converted. And the problem you run into, let's say you use something like flax oil, you're trying to get the EPA and DHA, and I usually recommend people get about 1 gram of that combined a day. Some people recommend 2 grams. Problem you run into, let's say with flax oil, is that it is only around 50% ALA. The rest is a mixture of other fats, including a fair amount of omega-6 fats and other polyunsaturated fats that you're not necessarily wanting. You don't want large amounts of polyunsaturated fats in your diet. It's not really ideal for health. And with that 50%, you have to assume that maybe 10% of it's going to convert to what you want. So if you do the math, that ultimately means if you want to get 1 gram of EPA and DHA, which is what you're going to get from about 3 average fish oil capsules, you're talking about 20 grams of fat or 180 calories of fat added just from pure oils to your diet. And that's fine for some people, but if you're someone who has fairly low fat macros that you're trying to hit, you function better on really high carbs, you're eating very high carb, very high protein, throwing an extra 20 grams or 30 grams or 40 grams of fat to hit your EPA and DHA numbers can really mess up your macros. And for me, I only eat about 30 grams of fat a day, maybe 35. And remember, I am not a natural lifter, so I can get away with that. And in fact, for me, carbs are far more beneficial than dietary fat is, due to my specific biochemistry that may not apply to you. So for me, that could mess with my numbers quite a bit. So I wanted a more concentrated source. Now, I did find an algae source. I found 3 different ones on Amazon here, and actually people suggested them to me, and the one I ended up buying, 3 different people linked it to me right after I bought it. So I've definitely found something there, but generally speaking, most of your EPA and DHA found in nature is going to be, other than some algae sources, it's going to be animal source. And the reality is, we know from anthropology and studying this that historically that is where we got most of it, was from animal sources. Usually from seafood, but the most common sources we found historically for more landlocked tribes was by eating the brain and spinal cords of animals they killed, or people they killed. As cannibalism is far more common than people seem to think in the ancient world. But that is generally where people got it, and it is harder to get it from vegetable sources in adequate amounts unless you're drinking a lot of seed oils to get it, which can end up pushing your fat numbers up pretty high. So it's just a matter of what you're willing to accept and work with your personal macros as far as doing this. But that's something to keep in mind, that for a lot of people, if you're getting all of it from flax oil, you do need to factor in and figure out how much you actually need of that. And I would say that for most men, if you're not getting at least 20 grams of flax oil a day, if you're using flax oil as your main source, then you're probably not really getting optimal amounts of EPA and DHA conversion. And for most people, about 3 fish oil capsules a day will give you everything you need if you want to go the fish oil route, or you can get the equivalent in some of these algae supplements. But the thing is, for people who aren't eating fish every day, or you aren't eating menudo 3 times a week, or some very high omega-3 source food, then you probably need to be supplementing something. And another viable alternative can be omega-3 eggs, so you may not need a supplement if you're eating those, and they are generally raised under a lot better conditions than factory farming because they need a certain amount of sunlight and they need to be healthier than most factory farm chickens are in order to actually produce those type of eggs, which is one of the reasons they cost more. So that is also another alternative for people looking for this. You don't want to supplement, but if you're not getting some of these foods regularly, you're probably going to need to supplement. So be aware of the difference between your ALA, which your body doesn't really use for these purposes. It has to convert a small amount of it to what you want, versus EPA and DHA, because there is a difference, and it is the latter that you're trying to get. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.